Ariel Okall. So this is a player that you're going to look at in this video. So he got selected in the Kenya men's national team. His selection still remains a mystery because this is a man that I've made a video on talking about the real reason as to why he joined the NRBC Thunder. I feel like he joined that team because there were no offers coming his way, and he just said, let me just play home, because he already played in KBF when he was playing in his prime, in quote unquote his prime, when he was playing for KPA. And in this video, we're looking at his production, especially when it comes to national team basketball. So he has played in a couple of tournaments. You've seen him play in the FIBA AfroBasket qualifiers. We've seen him play in the FIBA AfroBasket, and also he played in the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. So he didn't play in the last year's FIBA AfroChan, but given that sample size, he has played significant games that you can be able to go ahead and look at and just give an objective opinion on what we have seen. So let's just get into it. So Ariel Okall, so you could see he played all 6 games in the qualifiers. He averaged 20.8 minutes, 4 points. He had 30% shooting from the field. He was not attempting as much threes. He wasn't that efficient, especially when it came to twos. And he was a guy that was just heavily relied upon, especially when it came to like those second chance points and some rebounds that he could catch. And he had a plus minus from minus 2.8. So looking at his games that he played in, especially individually, like looking at the stats that he dropped in those individual games, you can see he was playing heavy minutes. He was playing north of like 2 quarters a game. So in that game against Senegal, he played 24 minutes, 10 points, 4 of 10 shooting from the field, 2 of 7, which is something that is such a puzzle, especially playing the position that he plays. He should be playing efficiently, especially considering the fact that if he plays the 4 or 5, or if he plays the 5, he's supposed to know that he's supposed to be the most efficient piece on the court, and he's supposed to be converting on 2-point field goals. And that's not the case, because this guy was just getting, just scrapping there. I know plays are not being made for him at the time, but given like his role, he was supposed to be cleaning up majority of the time, but he wasn't able to. But Senegal just had the good defense and were able to contain him easily. But you can see on the personal fouls and turnovers, this is what was really, really deflating. 4 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. This is a guy that is just prone to fouling. And the reason as to why, he fouls a lot, he thinks that he plays hard, or I think the team thinks that fouling hard, it means playing hard, but fouling a lot means that even at the end of games, you're not able to play good defense because of those fouls that you have in mind. So that's the reason as to why majority of the time he's not the most efficient or effective, because this game he recorded the most negative plus minus all through, despite even scoring like 10 points. I know people are going to look at his 10-point performance on 40% shooting. Remember, he only made 4 of 10 in 2 of 7 and 2 of 3 threes that went in, but he had a plus minus from minus 27. So that was actually not good. Then the game was against Angola, played 22 minutes, 7 points, 2 of 6, 3 of 5, did nothing. He had 3 fouls, 2 turnovers, minus 17. The game against Mozambique, he had played heavy minutes, but he wasn't able to show up scoring wise. But it came to like the rebounds, he was like Dennis Rodman in there. But one thing that he needed to do was just make sure to at least score and try to be efficient when it comes to scoring. He had 8 attempts, but looking at what he needed to do was at least score the basketball and help in scoring. But that wasn't needed because the Morans already, they won the game. But this was something that I was looking forward to. Somebody that plays that position is supposed to be one of the most efficient pieces, just like I mentioned earlier. So in that game against Senegal, the second one, this guy was nowhere to be seen. He only had 1 point in 19 minutes played, and he did virtually nothing. He was just playing cardio there and just fouling. He had 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 personal fouls, nothing else. Then in the Angolan game where Kenya made history, he's actually one of the guys that was celebrating so hard, considering the fact that he only scored 4 points on 30 minutes played. So and he had 3 fouls. Yeah, he almost tied his points in fouls. He was 1 foul shy from tying it with his points. But anyway, he was the guy who was celebrating so hard when the Kenya Morans made history, but he only contributed only 4 points. The game against Mozambique, well, the stat line just speaks for itself. The man, even without Tyler on the team, did virtually nothing in the game. 0 for 1. He only won at 1 field goal attempt. In 15 minutes, only 1 field goal attempt, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 personal fouls, 3 turnovers. So just goes to show you that this guy does not have any skill or even any IQ to score. There's nothing that this dude has. But anyway, that was the qualifiers that happened in 2020, late 2020 and early 2021. So moving on to the actual AfroBasket that happened in August and September of 2021. The man, he played 4 games. He played all games. And you could see what he did. 44% shooting from the field, 6.5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 personal foul, 1.3 fouls, 1.3 turnovers, all that. In a plus minus or plus over minus 2.8. And he averaged 6.3 points. But looking at his games individually, that's what tells us everything we need to know. Then, in the first game against Cote d'Ivoire, played 18 minutes. Similar productivity that as we are used to seeing. This is somebody that, he tried to reduce his fouls, but my God, you can't rely on him. 1 of 4, 2 of 4 shooting, 3 of 6, 5 of 11, plus minus of minus 12. The game against Nigeria. I mean, he's just a guy that you can't have somebody like this on your team, especially playing at the front court, because what was he doing? Okay, he was grabbing rebounds, but the man wasn't scoring the basketball. He was just allergic to scoring. He didn't want to score. He was just, you can't play heavy minutes like this and just come out and you're not scoring. You're not Dennis Rodman in there. I know Dennis Rodman, he played his game, but he had Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan who helped in scoring. But if you can't help Tyler at this time to score the basketball, who was supposed to be the number 2 or number 3 option of the team, if you can't be able to be efficient to score the basketball and you're just scrapping in there. So you can play hard, but you have to have a certain level of skill and mental makeup, and especially when it comes to like basketball IQ, to know when to score and when to be able to know where to take the load off the other guy. Like sometimes I saw Tyler was being guarded heavily and he needed somebody else to help him score, but because this guy just had no ability to score, that's the reason as to why we managed to win only 1 game. If he only had a bit of more help, especially when it came to scoring, and he made a couple of his field goals and attempted more, and not even attempting taking a shot and pulling up, but second chance points, rebounding the basketball. You can look at, he had 4 offensive boards in there, but they were not enough because South Sudan won that game anyway. Then you could see his productivity was just abysmal. So we have seen him play in 10 games so far. So he played more games, especially when it came to the FIBA World Cup qualifiers. So in the FIBA World Cup qualifiers, what we saw from this guy, he didn't play. He was listed as a DNP, and this time the Kenya Morans were under coach Liz Mills. So look at his performance. 60 minutes played, 3 points, 1 of 5, minus 26 against Senegal, minus 12. What did he do scoring wise? 1 of 4 shooting, 2 points, 7 points. My God, this guy was just lack of a better word, useless. He was very useless, especially when it came to these games. I know these games didn't matter, the remaining 2 games, but these 3, the ones that we got embarrassed brutally, I mean, and fouling north of like 5 fouls, you could see. he was actually quite useless. And interesting enough, a lot of people like put a lot of stock in this guy. This is not a guy that you can rely on down the stretch. This is a guy that is a loser. Look at this. 5 fouls. You can't think that you're playing hard just because you're fouling. You can't foul hard and think that, are playing good defense. Fouling is not playing hard. That's actually playing with a low basketball IQ. I feel like this guy, he lacks skill. Not even feel like it's a fact that Ariel Okall lacks skill. He lacks any basketball IQ, especially when it comes to continental games. I've seen a lot of his games, and quite frankly, when he represents the national team, he just forgets how to play basketball. I can call him the Harry Maguire of the Kenya Morans. He's as pitiful as Harry Maguire, and he plays for the Manchester United team. I know those are two different sports, but you get the point. He's that person. So I don't expect him to even have any leaps, in, especially when it comes to his performance. You are used to him playing like that. I know his stock has been overinflated just because he plays for the Nairobi City Thunder. But I'm pretty sure in the end of the day, when the Nairobi City Thunder make it to Rotubal, he's going to be the one that costs them in the end because of his poor performances. This is going to be his Achilles heel, and even him being on the national team adds nothing. The same thing as the way Bush, him and Bush are on the same trajectory. They are tall players, they're unskilled players, and they have a very low basketball IQ. And they are going to be the reason as to why we lose games. And that's just about it. I have nothing against the man, but I feel like he shouldn't be on the national team. You can't average these numbers, then you think that you're national team worthy. And he's up there in age, 6'8", and this is the type of productivity he produces. Averaging more, he had more fouls than points scored in 2 games. You saw that game against Egypt, more fouls than points. He had 5 fouls and 4 points in that game against Senegal. He had 3 personal fouls, more than 2, and more like he had 5 turnovers in this game. So you can see this is a player that is a loser. Yeah, he plays like a loser. This is the game that he got blocked by Gogi Jang when he attempted to shoot a 3. And my God, you could just see there's some players that just forget to play basketball when it comes to continental ball. And they're just useless, man. I mean, I'm not sure why they are still on the team.